in a place called Chicken Farm Informal Settlement in the Pimville area in Soweto, where residents descended in search of people whom they suspect are stealing cables. A shootout then ensued and someone was shot and killed. Well, Governor Whittles is tracking the story for us. He just come back to the studio. He was in Soweto a little bit earlier. I understand there was a prayer meeting. What was this purpose? What was the purpose of this meeting?
Well, this prayer meeting was called by the Department of Community Safety. They want to repair the relationship between police and the communities, but they really want to specifically address what happened in Pimville, in Kliptown, and the Chicken Farm Informal Settlement, which was, by all intents, a confrontation between would have been a confrontation between residents of the informal settlement and the area of Kliptown and Pimville, which had been left without power. So what happened here is that cables were stolen, a prolonged electricity outage ensued in Pimville, in Kliptown. The young men in that area, who are also members of Operation Dudula, then decided that they would march to the informal settlement with a plan to confront those people that they believed were stealing the cables. When they arrived at the entrance of the informal settlement under the banner of Operation Dudula, they say a VW approached them and started firing shots into that crowd. That's when Khomotso Diale was hit and he eventually died. And since then, obviously, Nhlanhla Lux, the leader of Operation Dudula, has been mobilizing support for their movement, but also some support for the family. And today, the Community Safety Department and the MEC arrived not only to pray for the family, but also to pray for the leadership of Operation Dudula and also provide that support to the family that they'd been asking.
I think it's important to remind our viewers that, in fact, Nhlanhla Lux lives in Pimville. He's a resident of Pimville as well. Okay, so you said they were praying today. What was it for, and who was the? You've mentioned the MEC for Community Safety, Faith Mazibuko, as among those who were praying.
So there were different representatives of faith-based organizations, not only the churches, also representatives from the mosques, from the synagogue, also from the Rastafari faith, and they had a large group of women there for what's traditionally known as Mañana Thursday, where the women gather and they would sing. Exactly.
On Thursday for prayer services. Yes.
So instead of holding those services at the church, they decided, let's go to the Diale family today. Let's provide that comfort for them. And while we're there, let's also pray for these young men that are involved in Operation Dudula. I asked the MEC of Community Safety, Faith Mazibuko, about the service and what they were trying to do. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
We are a department of community safety. Our responsibility is to mobilize community irrespective how have you named yourself. Not only are we talking to Dudula, but there are other various organizations that exist here in Pimville. Some of the leaders, in fact others, are not necessarily members of the Dudula. It's just that because you see Nhlanhla Lux, then you assume it's only Dudula. I must tell you that some of those who were in the forefront in that march do not necessarily belong to Operation Dudula, but they're concerned members of the community. And you can see they're still traumatized, some of them. They are dodgy, they are what. So for them to find healing, it is important to also bring them on board. And also working with the councillors, working with the municipality, working with all the political organizations that work here within this area. So, as I mentioned before, we are a department that has to work with everyone. And as government, we cannot be selective on whom we work with and who we cannot work with.
Okay, you mentioned that Operation Dudula's Nhlanhla Lux, the leader, was there, and I reminded our viewers that he's, of course, a resident of Pimville himself. But there have been some arrests, I understand, by police of two suspects. What is Operation Dudula saying about this?
They've welcomed the arrest of these two suspects. They have a few issues with it. Firstly, the police are not revealing the nationalities of the people that they arrested in. That's, of course, their right to do in what is standard procedure. But Nhlanhla Lux and Operation Dudula saying they also would have liked an opportunity to attend an ID parade, to perhaps point out the people that some of their members may have seen on the day. But then they're also not happy about the police's plans to go into the Chicken Farm Informal Settlement because those plans are being finalized without participation of the residents. And Nhlanhla is insisting that it's the residents who would know which places to go to in the informal settlement because the, as he says, organic intelligence is sometimes of more value than the traditional ones. But let's listen to what he had to say and the things he's concerned about regarding these arrests.
Look, I know that the best investigation team in Gauteng is actually on top of this, actually in the country is on top of this. We might not be privy to some information. It might be premature for us to even judge them early, but right now sitting here, I also want to be part of the people that judge the situation. And I'm not happy because what I thought would happen is that the community would be part and parcel of the process, of the planning, because the intelligence from the community is far greater than anyone else's intelligence outside the community. What you want to see is when Chicken Farm gets raided, there's an operational plan with some key people in the community so that you use the community's intelligence to say that in that shack, I know this happens, in that shack, and I'm hoping that they had a better operational plan. But we're not happy as a community that the people that are arrested, we're not even asked whether or not we can identify a few people. Maybe it's coming, we do not know.
Okay, Governor, finally, before I let you go, what's next in this case?
The two people who were arrested haven't appeared in court. The community is calling for them to appear as soon as possible. I spoke to representatives of Kliptown SAPS today, and Captain Ngwenya saying that he'll be in touch with the investigating officer today because those men should have appeared yesterday, and he'll be able to issue a statement shortly on when they will be appearing. As for the people in Pimville and Soweto, they're eagerly anticipating the first appearance of these men to see who they are.
Thank you very much. Governor Whittles with that latest update from Pimville in Soweto.